So what exactly is net neutrality? Why does it matter? And how will it really affect me? Well, let's start out where all this idea of net neutrality began, even in the first place. In the 18th century, government passed the Communications Act of 1934, where, for the purpose of regulating interstate and foreign commerce in communication by wire and radio, so as to make available, so as far as possible, to all the people of the United States a rapid, efficient, nationwide, and worldwide wire and radio communication service with adequate facilities at a reasonable charge. So, the idea of having communication as an equal type of playing field for people has been around for a very long time. However, the question is still being asked: what is net neutrality? Think of it this way. Look at the internet as a huge river that flows all across the world. Now, this river is way too big for any person to be able to get all the data they wanted. So you pay for a little type of well where you can have access to some of the data from the river. The people who you pay to have access to the river are called ISPs, or Internet Service Providers. Companies such as Verizon, AT&T, and Time Warner Cable control how much of the river you can have access at a time. This access has an equal playing field where you want to visit different websites. You can visit Facebook to see posts about your grandma's cooking, watch videos of car karaoke on YouTube, or see the new season of Stranger Things on Netflix. All these websites have an equal access, and the speed in which you are able to get them are generally the same. If net neutrality is killed, however, the ISPs are not able to even further limit the access to those websites, and you will have to pay for what is called packages. These packages will look like this. Seem familiar? Cable providers have done the same thing with the access to channels, and the same thing would become of the internet. Imagine trying to see the photos of your friend's pumpkin spice latte on Instagram, only to discover you have to pay more for the premium package in order to do so in the first place. The question can be asked now: who is trying to get rid of net neutrality in the first place? Lobbying by the ISP companies has been happening for years now. But there should be a focus on one person who is advocating for net neutrality to end. That man is Ajit Pai. Ajit Pai is currently the chairman for the FCC, who also worked under Verizon, and he advocates for no governmental regulation on the access of the internet. In an interview with NPR, he states,
What is your principal concern?
Well, I favor a free and open internet, as I think most consumers do. My concern is with the particular regulations that the FCC adopted 2 years ago. They are what is called Title II regulations, developed in the 1930s to regulate the Ma Bell telephone monopoly. And my concern is that by imposing those heavy-handed economic regulations on internet service providers, big and small, we could end up disincentivizing companies from wanting to build out internet access to a lot of parts of the country, low-income, urban, and rural areas, for example. And that, I think, is something that nobody would benefit from.
However, recent polls demonstrate that the vast majority of Americans want to keep net neutrality. Approximately 77% of Americans think internet should be governmentally regulated.
Overwhelming majority of those were people saying, we want net neutrality. We want to know that these protections are in place. Does that evidence not sway you that maybe these rules should not be dismantled?
Well, I certainly understand that there's a wide variety of public interest in this particular issue, but when I meet with consumers, and I've met with folks from Kalamazoo, Michigan, down to Carthage, Mississippi, from Barrow, Alaska, to Diller, Nebraska, what they tell me is that their concern is not that their internet service provider is blocking lawful traffic or doing something like that. It's that they want more competition. They want better and faster and cheaper internet.
All right, FCC Commissioner Ajit Pai, thank you very much for being here.
It's great to be with you.
But what exactly does the average American think about net neutrality on a personal level? Here are some interviews conducted. Let's take a look.
Yes, it's net neutrality is a concept that the internet should be open and free for everyone.
No, I don't.
I watched the John Oliver thing, but I forgot most of it. I think it's about like internet service providers not charging, like not varying rates depending on what website you use.
Yes, internet has become a part of our way of life now. It's sort of like become one of our senses, basically, our connections to the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. We shouldn't have to barter and decide which internet provider we should go to get the service we want that's already on the internet. It's ridiculous.
I'm a philosophy student. You asked me about what? No, not. It shouldn't be treated like food or water, or like housing. I don't think so.
Well, I'm not the one who has to pay the bills, but I'm sure we'd have to pay a lot more for our current internet services, and a lot of small businesses would be affected. It would be hard to start up a website because access to it might be restricted.
Well, being a gamer and a streamer, it would suck to have to pay extra money just to be doing something that I'm already doing pretty much for paying my internet provider. So I mean, having them charge you an extra buck to do something is kind of foolish.
I don't know. I don't know enough about like economics to know how that would result.
Do you think it's important?
Yeah, it's important to message your representatives and urge them to keep net neutrality in place. It's really dumb that they're trying to get rid of it.
Alright.
Yes, absolutely. If you love the internet, you should definitely want to fight for net neutrality. You're already paying for internet. You're already paying for whatever type of package that you're paying for. You shouldn't have to pay for an extra fee just to get your Netflix or your Hulu or whatever it is you like to do on the internet. You shouldn't have to be charged extra for that.
Like you said, I don't know enough about economics on how that would affect the market.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm like a libertarian, so I tend to think that like more free market is possible, better. But it's like a case-by-case thing, and I don't know in this case what would realistically happen.
Well, there are a lot of when you're playing against other people online, the difference in connection can mean the difference of who wins and who loses. So it could severely affect performance.
Well, being a gamer and a streamer, but if there was no net neutrality, it would change my experience quite a bit. I mean, we already go through, as streamers, quite a bit of a process trying to deliver content through whatever streaming services we decide to go to. So having an internet provider ask us to pay extra to basically have that service available for us would be kind of ridiculous, and probably would turn off a lot of streamers from streaming. It might turn off me too.
Like a little extra for faster internet?
Yeah.
That'd be better, I guess.
On November 22nd, the day right before Thanksgiving, Ajit Pai and the FCC are planning a vote to gut net neutrality. BattleForTheNet.com has created a way to more easily contact your representative so you can tell them how much you do not want this vote to go through. To demonstrate how easy it is to make a difference, I will be showing you how to call your representatives using this website. So you just enter in your phone number into the website, and then they'll call you just like this. Hello?
Hi, this is Layla from Battle for the Net. We'll connect you to key decision makers in a moment.
And then, after following a few simple steps to find the representative for your specific area, you will be given a script to read after you hear this tone.
Hear the tone. When you've finished, you hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi there, this is Mindy, and I support Title II net neutrality rules, and I urge you to oppose the FCC's plan to repeal them. Specifically, I'd like you to contact the FCC chairman and demand he abandon his current plan. Thank you. That's how easy it is.